Howdy friends, welcome to another episode of the Rifle Chair YouTube channel. In this episode we're going to be doing a real easy trigger job on the AR-15. We're not going to disassemble it. See, a lot of the videos, YouTube is full of videos on AR-15 trigger jobs. Trigger swaps, putting in new triggers, aftermarket triggers. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with the trigger that comes in your AR-15. And you don't even need to remove it or bend the springs or do anything like that to give yourself a really good workable trigger. So I'm going to show you something that it's not going to cost you anything. It's going to be free. Manufacturers aren't going to like me saying that because they want to sell your product. But you don't need to buy that product. It's kind of a needless exercise. There's nothing wrong with what came in your AR-15. You can make it work better for you. A lot of people want to do a trigger job where they get the India stones out and the wet dry sandpaper 1000 grit and they polish all the surfaces. We're essentially going to do that without removing your trigger from the lower receiver assembly. And we're going to do that by impressing wear on the trigger system, just like you would if you were stoning it or sanding it. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to use a piece of paracord and a small piece of paper towel. And the stuff you got lying around the house. It's not going to cost you anything. This is a trick. It's not so much a trick as just common sense that was taught to me by a bunch of my buddies in the Canadian Army, and so I'm going to pass it on to you. Save you some dollars. Alright, stay tuned. But before we go into it in any detail, I want you to watch this video here by Such on how the AR-15 trigger assembly works. And another video, it's a 3D animation AR-15 trigger video done by Armed with Information. That's right here. Watch those two videos first because it's important for you to know how your trigger assembly works before we induce anywhere. Okay, so here we are with the AR-15 lower. What we're going to want to do is extend the trigger outwards. Okay, release the trigger. Now when you're in this position, you're going to take a piece of paracord, like what we have here, wrap it underneath the hammer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to replicate this rifle firing over and over and over again while pulling up on the hammer here. Okay, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be engaging the cocking notch and the sear engagement surface under pressure. Okay, put the hammer down. What I'm also going to do is ball a piece of paper towel. I'm going to stick it in this area here because what we don't want to have happen is for the trigger to be tripped and have it come down and slap into the bolt release mechanism right here. We don't want that to happen like that. You don't need much, just a little bit, just to act as a bit of a cushion if and when it occurs. Okay, wrap this around your fist. Okay, and you're going to lift up. And you're going to trip the trigger. Okay, what we're trying to do is get the two mating surfaces of the sear engagement surface and the cocking notch to smooth out by inducing basically forced contact. One of the benefits of doing it this way is that you're getting the two mating surfaces to make flush contact, right? You're forcing them to make firm contact rather than stoning them at obtuse angles and whatnot. You're just pressing these two surfaces together. Do this in front of the television watching a movie. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on it, but before you know it, you're going to sit there and test your trigger out. Realize it's really, there's no creep left. You've taken care of a lot of the problems, or the creep that was in your trigger when you first got it. You've essentially forced it, oh, it's just so much better. You give it a try, guys. You won't be disappointed. And you're not going to have to worry about overstoning. Essentially, if you're going to stone these areas, the caulking notch and the sear engagement surface, you run the risk of opening things up too much and making your AR-15 conceivably dangerous or unreliable. So this is a poor man's way of doing a trigger job, and it doesn't cost you anything. So I hope you found that that informative or useful, and it just makes a big difference, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, make belief up.